Assalamu alaikum, it's Faisal here, and welcome to the final part of the first phase of Know Your Purpose. So in this one, we're going to be summarizing everything that we've been through so far. So summarizing a human purpose. So here's what we're going to cover: recapping your purpose, understanding the 6 components of purpose and how it all links together, becoming Malcolm X, and the link between purpose and freedom. Okay, so let's recap our purpose. So this is the last module of this first phase, looking at our overall purpose. So let's recap what we've been through. So we started with looking at the current state of affairs in the world today and what a lack of purpose does to the individual and to society at large. To understand how it got like this and to understand a little bit more about why we feel so out of sync and how purpose is the key to freedom. We then looked at understanding how do we figure out something's purpose. The inventor, the instruction manual, and then what's made up of. So then we broke down the human in all of its parts to understand the different elements and what they're supposed to be for. We then went into the foundation that we need to build from: true submission and compliance to Allah and His laws. So these are the fundamentals. We then went into understanding our overall true purpose, what Allah loves versus what He expects, and our duty as Khalifa, which is to establish divine order on this earth by implementing Allah's laws and systems in the way He intended. Then we introduced a framework, which we broke down to 2 segments, the 6 synthesized core purposes. So they were worship, which was submission to Allah's laws above all else; unity in relationships, justice and jihad; being like the beloved, i.e. to build our resilience; seeking knowledge so that we grow; and to serve and have impact, which takes us to today. So how can you use all of this in your own life? What does it all really mean? Right? I don't want it just to be information. As I mentioned, this must be transformation. So how can you take all of this content so far and implement it in your own lives? So understanding the 6 components of purpose in more detail. So remember the 6 components. Okay. So if you remember how I was able to sort of discover this model, I looked and loosely categorized a lot of the core literature and guidance available to us. I saw a lot of patterns, this fiqh ruling, this sharia, this hadith, this ayah, etc. And I categorized it. So avoiding riba, for example, that comes under justice and jihad. Hadith, give presents so that you may love one another, unity in relationships. The hadith, move something from the road, is even that's the that's service, etc., etc. So what this core framework does, it relates to our overall purpose as humans, and it binds everything together in a logical way. So what this should do is, first, it should give you a sense of meaning. So when you get to a point in your life where you feel confused, you feel like life is tough, you feel like you're not sure what decision to make, having this overall framework in mind gets you back on track and frees up your mind. Having a tough time? Okay, be like the beloved. Has someone wronged you? Don't cut ties. Remember the importance of unity in relationships. So this keeps us grounded and aware of our priorities. It simplifies our life. Everything we should be doing should fit into one of these categories. And if it doesn't, then we shouldn't be doing it. The second thing, it helps us to hone in on our duty, which is to be Allah's vicegerent, His Khalifa, His representative, by letting us know some of the core responsibilities of that role. A job description for us to fulfill our divine duty and keep order. So that's the second thing. And most importantly, this is the exact thing that will help us to become those that Allah loves. Someone who has fulfilled the immense potential and done justice to the capacity and gifts Allah has given us. It will actually make us self-actualized. And here's how. So first of all, we have the worship component. So worship, remember we established that we are a soul, that's our core essence. And we said that worship is essentially soul food. So worship nourishes the soul, who we actually are. And that's why, remember we said that if the body and the soul are diametrically opposed in the sense that if you feed the body, it's at the expense of the soul, and that's why in Ramadan we fast and our spirituality goes up. So that's just the first component of that worship. Dhikr, prayer, all of this stuff. It gives us fuel. The second thing is what unity and relationships does. So we're made up of these two elements. We're made up of a soul, but then unity and relationships gives the body what it needs. So remember the longitudinal study. What makes us most happy, what we need is good relationships. So having that unity, having strong relationships, it gives the body what it needs. It gives us stability in life. It gives us structure. So that then gives us a good sort of foundation to build upon. Then the third aspect, justice and jihad. Now what this is our compass, our moral compass. This is all about truth and morality, because there's no point in you being self-actualized if you're pointing in the wrong direction. So this is enjoining the good, forbidding the evil. This ensures us that, do we understand what Allah's laws are? Are we understanding, are we putting things in order, in the right place, etc., etc.? So this is our truth muscle, essentially. Then what happens next is resilience, be like the beloved. And this is polishing the diamond. This is giving us that resilience muscle. That when times get hard, can we be patient? Can we struggle and strive and continue forward despite the challenges that we're going through? The next one is growth, and so in seek knowledge. So what seeking knowledge does is actually it elevates us, it gives us more understanding, and it develops us to the next level. So whilst being resilient polishes a diamond and makes us able to struggle and strive, growth then expands us and elevates our mind and everything. And then what serving does, service is, it allows us then to actually practice this higher level that we're playing at, in the way of the cause. So serving the Ummah is us then actualizing all the development that we've gone through. So worship nourishes the soul and it gives us the fuel. Unity nourishes our body, gives us the stability and the structure. Then we have justice and jihad, which points us in the right direction. That's our truth compass, and ensures that we're going in the right direction, essentially. Then we have be like the beloved, building our resilience, building our toughness, our fortitude, all of this stuff, because again, we're going to need it. If the higher up the ranks you go, the more you're going to need this ability to endure. Look at all the prophets. Then growth, it develops us to the next level. So it develops us to the way where we can do our service even better. And then service it allows us to actually practice all this. So we're not just theory, we're actually developing and practicing and serving, doing the purpose that we've been created for. So these 6 components are all stacked on top of one another for us to achieve our potential. So what's interesting here is that this is very aligned with what the ancients also believed about purpose. Because also, I talk about patterns a lot, and so the Islamic view is actually quite aligned with some of what the ancients believed. So Aristotle, for example, he said that the summum bonum, or highest good, is to live with eudaimonia, which literally means to have a good soul. Right? So again, a good soul. And to translate the word eudaimonia into the nearest English word, that word is flourish. So to flourish. So ancient wisdom and modern personal development today agree the ultimate purpose of life is to flourish, or to actualize our potential in service to something bigger than ourselves. So this is compatible with the Islamic belief. So in terms of how do we live with a good soul and to flourish? So what Aristotle also said is that the key to living a noble, joyful life is to live with arete. Now, we translate that word into English as virtue or excellence, but it has a deeper meaning. It is close to expressing the best version of yourself moment to moment to moment. So whilst we want to have sa'ada, contentment, which comes from knowing God, so that we can attain Jannah, we can see from this model the sum of stacking these purposes on top of one another as another delicious, beautiful byproduct, us fulfilling our own potential and living the best version of ourselves, inshallah. Becoming Malcolm X. So this Malcolm X is an amazing example for us to demonstrate exactly this. So his life, his book is the one that I always recommend to people when they say, "Oh, I want to, develop myself, etc." Because it's you can see it playing out through the book, where he was and where he got to, and someone really, really, transforming in front of our very eyes. Now his story, obviously we know him. His legacy lives on. He's an activist. He's an icon, a legend, whatever you want to say. And his story is his life is kind of split into two halves, really. Kind of his time before jail and his time after jail. Now before jail, he was, a criminal, a pimp, a hustler, all sorts. And also a lot of this was shaped by his very traumatic childhood, racism. His father was killed, all this kind of stuff, and they were the KKK was always after them. So obviously he'd seen a lot, and that shaped his his backstory, right? So he was kind of lowest of the low, essentially. Went to jail, someone kind of guided him, and then this purpose kind of unlocked him a little bit, where he started consuming knowledge like crazy. And it developed him to the point where he became. You would say, he died at the age of 40, right? So he probably didn't fulfill his full potential, but at the age of his, at the age he was taken away, he had definitely kind of transcended and maximized, his potential, and that's essentially the timeline that we're all working to until we're taken away. So that's definitely something that we can see from his life. So that's why I will say that Malcolm X is probably the best cases we can use to demonstrate true transformation and fulfilling one's potential. Like, he was the lowest of the low and elevated his station to the point where his immense legacy lives on today. Yeah, absolute legend, right? And obviously, the book, as I mentioned, the autobiography is the one book I recommend everyone to read because it's life-changing to see the metamorphosis in front of your very eyes. One thing I recommend actually is I read the book years and years ago, but then I listened to it recently again on Audible, and the Matrix actor Lawrence Fishburne actually narrates it, and really a really amazing performance, and it brings it all to life again. So if I do recommend the Audible narration as well. So the process of transformation was such that he went through all of those elements that we discussed. He went through ongoing struggle. Yeah, that was almost like a daily thing for him, just struggling against the grain, etc. People declaring him like the most dangerous man in America, but he still carried on. Obviously, unity of his own people. That's what he was constantly calling for, striving for. Look, if we want justice, if we want this, we need to unite first. Obviously, justice was what his purpose actually was. He wanted to get justice for his people. Obviously, he consumed knowledge, and he was passionate about education and learning, and reading unlocked him, etc. So growth was very clear to see. Devout worship and service to his people. No, he wasn't self. He didn't have any self-interests. He didn't care what house he had, what car he had. He was all about devoting himself to the cause. So that sense of purpose is actually what unlocked him from where he was to where he became. That gave him the fire in his belly and the fortitude to fight and focus on what's most important. Imagine, just for a second, that he had developed himself, he had grown. So he was, talented. He was given the gift of speech, and he had all that eloquence, etc. But now imagine he had no cause. So obviously he would be a formidable tool, for if he was in a corporate job or if someone was handling him. But with that, imagine he didn't have a cause or a mission or a service that he was doing for his people. What a waste of talent, you would say. Or he could have, especially because of what he did and what he became. So the point of it is that cause that you're passionate about, that you're kind of been made for, that you're aligned to, your skills, a suit, everything. That is what really, really unlocks you to the next level. Look at his oratory skills, how he consumed knowledge, how he ran rings around his opponents, his charisma, his intellect. He was most certainly say that this man at the time of his death fulfilled his potential according to the length of his life. Had he lived longer, there was much, much more he could have done and would have done, contributed. He was ahead of his time. His quotes are timeless to this day. Sometimes I read his quotes on even things like Palestine, and he's, again, like from beyond the grave, it feels like he's hauntingly relevant. And all of this achievement has been done on the backdrop of a lower low than pretty much anyone. Right? He was a lost cause. A lot of people would say he was a lost cause. He's too far gone. Oh, he's got a criminal record now. He's in jail. He's this. He's that. He's abusive. But it shows what is possible. I remember transformation. All of this stuff is in the hands of Allah. Allah can use anyone at any point. So let's review the model again, but this time through the lens of Malcolm X, so you can see the potential and power of this model when we apply it to our own lives. So worship. Only when mankind would submit to the one God who created all, only then would mankind even approach the peace of which so much talk could be heard, but towards so little action was seen. So even, like I said, these are all Malcolm X quotes, by the way. So he understood the importance of just submitting. If you submit to one God, that would solve so much. Unity. Ignorance of each other is what made unity impossible in the past. Therefore, we need enlightenment. We need more light about each other. Light creates understanding. Understanding creates love. Love creates patience. And patience creates unity. Once we have more knowledge, light about each other, we will stop condemning each other, and a united front will be brought about. Yeah, I don't think I need to say anything else. That says it all. Justice and jihad. I've had enough of someone else's propaganda. I'm for truth, no matter who tells it. And for justice, no matter who it's for or against. I'm human being first and foremost. And as such, I'm for whoever and whatever benefits humanity as a whole. Again, that is a great example of how we need to be. It's not about, this benefits my tribe, this benefits my family. No, it's a bigger picture, always. Resilience. In fact, once he is motivated, no one can change more completely than the man who has been at the bottom. I call myself the best example of that. It is only after the deepest darkness that the greatest joy can come. So it doesn't matter what you've been through, how difficult the times have been. Actually, you're Allah put you in that state for a reason, and you might, because you've been at the lowest low, you can then achieve the highest heights. Seek knowledge. So I read aimlessly until I learn to read selectively with a purpose. And then another quote was, my alma mater was books, a good library. I could spend the rest of my life just reading, satisfying my curiosity. So again, that's another, you look at today, sadly no one reads anymore. But this is the point, that he had a clear focus, clear purpose, and what his reading was doing was developing his level so when he was doing his purpose, he was doing it at a much higher level because he was building himself. And then service. This is what he said to his wife. Don't be bitter. Remember Lot's wife when they kill me, and they surely will. You have to use all of your energy to do what it is you have to do. So he was just saying that, look, carry on the mission. Like, it doesn't matter if so the mission comes first. So don't worry about. I'll give you another round. Worship again. Mankind's history has proved from one era to another that a true criterion of leadership is spiritual. So it's all about spirituality. That comes first. And he even said this is one of his challenges. The hardest test I ever faced in my life was praying. It was interesting is there's a part of the book where he's in jail and he struggles to bow down in prayer. He struggles because of his ego or arrogance, or it was the thing that he kind of really struggled with. So completely and fully submitting, but once you fully let go, then you're in Allah's hands, and so unity. I remember one night at Muzdalifah, so when he went to Hajj, nothing but sky overhead. I woke up and I realised that every pilgrim from every land, every colour, every class, all snored in the same language. And I believe in human beings, that all human beings should be respected as such, regardless of their colour. So again, he was about unity, not just of Muslims, of human race. Just in jihad, nobody gives you freedom, nobody can give you equality or justice or anything. If you're a man, you take it. And then this is the other thing. I'm a man who believes I died 20 years ago, and I live like a man who is dead already. So I have no fear whatsoever of anybody or anything. That's the thing about justice and jihad, that you're going to struggle to implement the truth, but you have to have a no fear mentality towards it. Because look, this is I have to do this. I don't care what what happens to me. That's part of the struggle. There's no better lesson than adversity. Every defeat, every heartbreak, every loss contains its own seed, its own lesson on how to improve your performance next time. Without education, you're not going anywhere in the world. And education is our passport for the future, for tomorrow belongs to the people who prepare for it today. And service. It is a time for martyrs now, and if I am to be one, it will be for the cause of the brotherhood. That's the only thing that can save this country. So this entire model, I've called it the Malcolm X model because I feel that no one represents it, this us living our true purpose and fulfilling our potential better than Malcolm X. So as you can see it now through the lens of Malcolm X, all those aspects were very, very prevalent in his life, and he lived by them, and that's what led him to his kind of transformation. And so, as you can see, the 6 components of achieving your potential. Yeah, great. So the link between purpose and freedom. You're either free or not free, right? So this is a very black and white thing. And to do that, I want to go, instead of Malcolm X, to his friend, Muhammad Ali. And so this quote is a very, very important quote when it comes to looking at purpose and how to live your life, etc. So this is what he said: I know where I'm going, and I know the truth, and I don't have to be what you want me to be. I'm free to be what I want. So again, this is someone who's unapologetic, living by his purpose, doesn't care what other people think. And this is, this quote essentially encapsulates his formula if you want freedom and purpose in your life. So what he's done here, he's articulated the formula we need to become our true selves, to be confident in our own identity and have huge purpose and impact, so we gain true freedom. So let's analyze it a little. It can be summarized in these 3 parts. To know where you're going. So this is all about having direction, an objective, focus, a purpose, and an understanding of the afterlife, i.e. where we're all going. So this is about understanding the way Allah sees our lives. Knowing the truth. In the Islam he championed so vociferously, it was all about knowing and adhering to truth, justice, and enjoining the good and forbidding the evil, justice and jihad. And the third thing is that I don't have to be what you want me to be. This is the rejection of the status quo, having an ability to critically think and to be purposeful in what you do, to use your own skills and gifts to serve in your own way. This is obviously the sword and shield, first of all, and then it also leads us on to the next phase nicely. It is simple, but the best, most timeless ideas often are. This is the formula for confidence, for freedom, for purpose. It is what served him well in his life and in his death too, inshallah. And it allowed him to express his true self instead of live by other people's rules and expectations. If you live your life according to this model, you will experience true freedom as living your purpose makes you free. Malcolm X said, when a person places a proper value on freedom, there is nothing under the sun that he will not do to acquire that freedom. Whenever you hear a man saying he wants freedom, but in the next breath he's going to tell you what he won't do to get it, or he doesn't believe in doing what he doesn't believe in doing in order to get it, then he doesn't believe in freedom. A man who believes in freedom will do anything under the sun to acquire or preserve his freedom. So where it says freedom, I want you to read the word purpose. It's the same thing. If you think, oh yeah, it's a nice to do, like, you don't really believe in it. But if you really believe in it, this is how fierce you need to be in the pursuit of it. So as you progress to phase 2, well, I want you to understand that everyone reaches maturity at different stages. Don't ripen fruit too quickly, it loses its flavour. This is a lifelong journey, so it's not about fast growth. This is why this stage is all about building the foundations, strong growth, building the roots properly. becoming like the Prophet or overcoming the challenges faced by the Prophets to get to self-actualization, it takes a lifetime of purposeful practice. We obviously hear about the famous 10,000 hours rules, etc. We learn and we forget. And as you've seen, we have a lot to actually unlearn. And, the truth hurts. It's, scary when you think, oh, we've been sold a lie, etc., etc. And growth and embracing this new way is a bit scary, and habits take time to develop. With anything, remember, you're either growing or you're dying. But this is the power of barakah. If you're spiritually growing, Allah is working behind the scenes without you even realizing. Keep a gratitude list to keep you positive, stay patient and persevere. And now that we know all the different purposes and what threads them together, which is your potential, next we'll look at exactly that. How do we achieve our potential? How much potential do we really have? So this is, we've just completed this stage, and now we're going to go on to knowing yourself, discovering who you really are, who you can be. Inshallah. Okay. The main thing you need to, just to end, the main thing you got to remember is that everything in the world is a hustle. So Malcolm X. He also said is, I was a zombie then, like all Muslims. I was hypnotized, pointed in a certain direction, and told to march. This is like, all of us. And then he also says, I explain it this way, so if some men are going in a car, they're going in a car driving with the destination in mind, and you know that they're going the wrong way, but they are convinced they're going the right way, then you get into the car with them and ride with them, talking. Finally, when they see they're on the wrong road, not getting where they were intending, then you tell them, then they'll listen to you about what road to take. So we've all been going in the wrong direction. I hope now this has helped to see that the road that we do need to take, inshallah. So that's it for this one, and I'll see you on the next one.